Okay, so now that we've got the rod in, it's time to go ahead and get ready to join the case. So the first thing I need to put back in is the counter shaft here, or output shaft, whichever one it is. I think it's the output shaft. So I need to put that back in. I didn't take any of this out on this engine. I inspected it all. I don't see any issues on any of the dogs or anything like that that you would look for. Like right here, looking for wear on these where the engagement is. I did the same on the other piece and didn't see anything there either. Here's that. So line those up right there. One thing to note here, this has a pin right here. You can probably kind of see it. Right there's a pin. It goes in this slot back here in the back right there. All right, so it's not quite seated yet. One of the gears hasn't meshed. There we are. Now it's in there. So make sure it kind of shifts and meshes. Generally, if it's wrong, it won't turn very well. Clean this off a bit real quick. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't get that part YouTube ready. Can't have any dirty parts on YouTube. So there's really not a lot to that. I'm just gonna kind of make sure all the gear teeth are clean here, nothing in them. It's just set around for a little while. So I'm gonna try to find neutral. It's probably somewhere right in here. Yeah, right there. Say neutral anyway. So now it's about time to join the case house back together. We've got the rod installed and torqued down. Got everything cleaned up. Got the transmission back in. Got all three of the indexing pins, whatever you want to call them. So the next step is going to be putting sealant on the case. But before I do that, usually I always like to read through in the manual, which here I kind of have the engine section for this bike. Basically, I want to check that I'm not missing anything that's going to be inside this section. So like, for example, the crankcase section here shows you how to put it together, but doesn't show you what all would probably go inside of it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, but little notes. So I always go back and read like the transmission section and the crankshaft section. Of course, the crankshaft section goes into a lot of the bearings and things like that, but in this case, we're not going to need that because this crank was already in this case here with all the same bearings. Okay, so first here, I'm going to reinstall my bearings. Of course, I know where these myself when I take them out, so I don't lose track of them because I was worried about them falling out and I was washing the block anyway. So I have one L on this one, so it's one lower. Of course, being a Yamaha, the lower is going to be, or one is the left side, or I guess all bikes really. But that's the way I've always done it. Make sure there's nothing in here. Of course, I'm getting that tab lined up there. I usually kind of get them level on this side, then roll them in, and that usually gets them spot on level. So I'm going to put a spot of assembly lube on these two. I'll be real careful to keep it away from the lip there. When I start it anyway, I'm going to fully pump up the oil, by turning it over, but this will help protect even before that. So there's a couple spots you see here. I got it up on the top part, so I'm going to clean that off. So I'm going to come back with some B12 here and clean this up, make sure it's totally clean, especially the parts here that are going to have case sealant on them. One last thing I'm going to do, make sure nothing's on the inside of this case here, like this old sealant here, break that off. Not really worried about the outside. There's a little bit there that was loose, could have got dropped into the filter. So I don't see any more on the inside of the case here. I've already checked this one pretty well. So we're ready to go ahead and put the case sealant on. On to the joys of case sealant. I got my Yamaha on here. Got a nice narrow tip on this, so that's always nice. So we're gonna go to the section here in the manual that shows the... So here is a blown up version of this that shows where the sealant is supposed to go. So basically, if we're looking at the case here, Oh, it's the bottom case. So let's get that one out then. There we go. Okay, so this is where the case sealant goes. You can see they gave us a nice picture here. The little black line there tells us where it goes. So it comes down from right here at this point, over this bolt hole, around that one. Okay, then it wants you to circle this one, and this one. Okay, then right here, it's like a J. Right there. And it wants me to circle this hole. It's an oil hole. So now I'm gonna come down this way. We're gonna go around the outside of this one. Down through there. Okay. It comes right here. Around that. Through there, then up to there. Lastly, we're going to come right here. Down this one. Going to come and clip that, then go right here. And here we're going to do that same J thing, in addition to going over to this hole. All right, I think we about got it. We're ready to go back in. I'm gonna double check that crankshaft section here. Okay, so now it's time to install the top case. So the last thing I'm gonna do is just make sure everything here seems right. See if this turns like it should. Yeah, it's trying to shift. Okay, I think we're ready to assemble the case. I've already got my 3 dowels in, so we should be ready to join the halves here. So I'm going to carefully bring this in. I want to not mess up the sealant any. Okay, so now it's time to go ahead and get ready to install the bolts back in the case here. The engine was already taken apart when I got it, so it was a bit of a basket case. So when that happens, it's not the end of the world. So like I said, this engine was taken apart. We know that these big bolts here are the crankcase bolts. So right now I'm checking to see that they're all the same length. I think they are, but I'm not 100% sure. All of these are. Yep. Yes, they are all the same length, okay? So first step here is I'm going to put a little oil on it and the washer. And I'll just start putting these in right there. Try to keep that fuzz out. So what I was saying though is that these bolts, like even though they're all taken out and they don't say where they go, like I've said in some past videos, they tell you where they want to go. In most cases, there's only a certain number of places in a block that it'll go. They always have kind of a uniform stick out for equal length bolts that are usually in similar locations. So often you can figure it out. And plus it'll tell you, these bolts are obviously the bigger bolts. They're M9s, they're number 1 through 10. They're 4.1 inch bolts, so we know that's where they go. Some of the older manuals are not as helpful as this new Yamaha one is. Now it goes there. All right. So the manual here, sorry, you can't probably see that. So the manual here actually tells you what the bolt lengths are and where they go. It gives them right there. That's really helpful, and the size. Number 11 is an M8 that's 60 millimeters long. I think it's gonna be one of these right here. My guess is it's probably this one right here that has Loctite on it, since it calls for Loctite. So yeah, that's it. Bolts, the next two are also 12 and 16, are also 60 millimeters. So we can go ahead and find those here using this bolt. Not that one. That's one of them. That's one of them. So number 12 just goes right here in the back corner. Hopefully you can see that there. And number, what is this? 16 goes upper front right up here, right here. All right, then we have numbers 19, 21, and 23, which are going to be 70 millimeter M6s. So it's going to be that one there, this kind of long one. So we're going to have 3 of those. So we're going to look for number 19. It's going to be this in case hole here. Number 21, it's going to be this one right here. Okay. And number 23, which is this one right here. Can't quite see that one, I don't think. So next we have some M6 65 millimeter bolts. That's these weird shoulder bolts here, I believe. Yes. So the weird shoulder bolts, numbers 17 and 18, go right here in the front right corner and right here in the back corner. Then we have some M6 bolts that are 60 millimeters. So that's going to be these here, 60 millimeters. We got 3 of them. One of these is special. It has a copper gasket on it. So figure out which one that is real quick. It's going to be this one right here. I think that's the one that has the copper on it. I'll have to double check that though. And then numbers 24, 25 are going to be these 2 in the back here. Don't believe those have the copper on them. Then we have numbers 20 and 26, which are short M6s that are 50 millimeters. Yep, these right here. Number 20 goes down here in the case. Right there. Number 26 goes right here, back left corner. And finally we have 3 more that are M8s that are 50. So those are numbers 13, 14, 15, and they go right here in the very front. So it's going to be 13. Sorry, I can't see it either, guys. 14. And 15. All right, so let me grab some Loctite and we'll start torquing these down. Okay, so I went and got the Loctite. Yeah, there we go. That's that fancy Loctite. And that, of course, goes on this one right here. This right here, this is the one I was right that the gasket does go on. I went and checked the parts breakdown, and that is in fact where it goes. All right, so it's time to start the torquing sequence. First, I'm gonna run them all down. Got 10 and 12 millimeter heads here, so pretty easy. Even running them down, I'm gonna do it in order. So this is number 1, number 2, number 3, 4 is over here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now we go on to the next set, which would be 11 through 16. So that's gonna be number 11 right here. Okay. 12. We're starting front center. 14. 15. Where is 16? So it's gonna be, I guess, this one. Yep. All right, then we have 17 through 26, somewhere right here. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. All right, so now we're ready to actually torque it down. All right, so it's time to start torquing these bolts down for the final torque. So the crankcase ones are a bit of a pain. They're first 20, then second, so we tighten it down to 20, we loosen it following the tightening order, then tighten it to 20 again, then the third is plus 60 degrees. All right, so I set my torque wrench to 20 Newton meters, sorry. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and number 10. So now we're going to loosen them all back up, following the tightening order. Okay, so now we're going to go back to 20 Newton meters. Okay, so now we're going to do the final torque, which again is a degree torque. I'm going to use my paper degree wheel here again. It works for me, don't judge. So I'm going to go ahead and get on number 1 here and zero it straight at me. And then I'm going to turn it, this is going to be 60 degrees, so I'm going to turn it until 60 degrees is right on me right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and torque it now. Okay, I'm going to do the next one. There's going to be 10 of these. You always want to be as smooth on these as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to torque bolts 11 through 16 down to 24 Newton meters, starting with number 11 right here. It's going to be the one with the Loctite already applied on there. Okay, and then we'll do number 12, which is going to be this one right here behind it. Number 13, which is the center front one here. And 14. 15, 16. Now we'll do the small ones. So these are going to be torqued down to 12 Newton meters, so I'll use my small wrench for this, obviously. Alright, so we'll start with number 17, which is going to be this one right here. Number 18. Then number 19. 20, 21, 22. This is that one with the copper washer. Then we'll come back here and do 23, 24, 25, and number 26. All right, it's torqued down now.